Hello and welcome to Unsourced Wall. My name is Elvis, and as always, I'm your host. Alright, so it's not going to be a long one, I hope. There are a couple of interesting news topics I want to go over, but not much in terms of what I read, although what I read has a few wrinkles that might be a little bit more heavy than I can handle. So we'll get into that when we get there. And of course, my review of the new episode of Loki. What did I think? Can I actually talk about this time? Who knows? Fingers crossed. Anyway, let's get on into it. In terms of news topics, the biggest thing is that we have the brand new trailer, I think the third trailer in total, of James Gunn's Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad 2. And it's a pretty standard trailer, which is basically just a character trailer for Bloodsport. Like, it's a 2.5 minute long trailer all about him, his character arc, his dynamics with his daughter, and just in general with the team. And that's kind of odd. I was kind of hoping if they were going to go this route that they would do it for every character, but I guess that's not feasible. I think Bloodsport is like the only character that, I guess really needs it. Everyone else kind of feels like it's going to be maybe a little bit more one note, and Bloodsport's going to be like the emotional core anchor of the movie. And that's fine. I think that's a great use of Idris Elba's personality and talents. And it's a good trailer. But that's not really what I want to talk about. Apparently, people got really, really upset. And what I mean by people, I mean Snyder heads, the really sort of fervent and frenzied faction of Snyder fans. And they were mad about this line in the trailer that says that Bloodsport shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet and put him in ICU. And they got really upset over that because, well, they think it's dumb and silly. It's too ridiculous for words, that it's a complete insult to Snyder's vision and version of the character, and that Snyder would never have done something so silly and so insulting to Superman. And it's a bunch of bullshit, because you want to know one thing? I know a lot of people have already defended this on the terms of Bloodsport did that in the comics. And yes, he's done that in the comics. It's the only thing about him that's really sort of infamous. They even adapted that entire little plot beat into an episode of Smallville. That's how kind of important the kryptonite bullet thing is in terms of like pop culture recognizability for this character. But the real stupid thing is that Snyder heads apparently have a big gumption to take with this, but apparently things that are practically movie breaking, like from the Snyder Cut, where Darkseid forgets a planet, forgets the anti-life equation, forgets the mother boxes, just because, and he's a dumbass fucking moron, they can totally accept that. They're like, oh yes, of course he forgot. Like, what are you even trying to say? So it's a double think at hand here that I thought was really funny to point out. Other than that, the trailer looks fine. I think Sorrow still looks great. I'm excited to see what Polka Dot Man's gonna do. I think John Cena as Peacemaker is kind of growing on me. I do hate how Gunn has written the character, but it is worth a chuckle. So fingers crossed, and let's see how this all turns out. But yeah, Snyder heads are also insane, and they're using this as ammunition for like, oh, see, this is what's going to happen to the DCEU without Snyder controlling it. But what gets me about that is we have Snyder's blueprint for what he wanted to do with the universe. Like, it exists. Yeah, you can say that he changed his plans, but he ended up creating a t-shirt with these plans in symbolic form on the t-shirt. And let me tell you, it was bad. We can read it. I had the picture saved. Do you want to read them? It's a terrible, terrible plan. It's god-awful. So overall, let's give Gunn a shot. Let's see what this movie has to give. It looks like it could be fun. It might be terrible. Fingers crossed. Anyway, let's move on to our second news topic, which is Tom Welling going on Cameo to announce or declare that there are plans for a Smallville animated series continuation in the works, with him and Michael Rosenbaum already attached as part of like the development team here. And you know what? I can't wait. I hope that happens. It's been rumored for a long time that there's going to be a Smallville like animated movie or TV show or miniseries. I think for like the past year and a half. And apparently there's been new rumblings that's going to be announced during Fandom in October. And I can totally believe that. I think that is something that would be really fun for them to do. I think that there's still a lot of goodwill behind Smallville. I mean, stuff like what the CW is doing now with Lois and Clark, or Superman and Lois, it's just totally riffing on what Smallville set up, and it's actually, feels like a good successor to Smallville from what I've heard from people who are watching it. And you know what? Fingers crossed that it turns out well. A thing that was really funny to me is that Tom Welling said that, hey, we're going to get all the cast members we can back as much as possible. And of course, everyone knows the elephant in the room that, what's her face? Allison Mack is in prison for being a psycho cult leader. So we're probably not going to see Chloe Sullivan if this comes to pass, or we're going to get a really badly dubbed version of her. I'd say just cut the character out. I mean, Chloe was superfluous in later seasons anyway. So yeah, can't wait for that, and yeah, hopefully it's not a bunch of fluff. And let's move on to what I read this week. First off, we had the first issue of Gamma Flight, and it was okay. It didn't knock my socks off. It feels like a spin-off. It doesn't, like, I could have skipped it. I think that I might just wait until the miniseries is close to wrapping up before going back and rereading it. It didn't seem very, it didn't pull me in. I feel like this is something where Ewing is definitely taking the backseat to his co-writer, and that's fine. I think the co-writer actually has like a good handle on things. There are a few moments that I didn't quite understand where the character emotion was coming from. Like, should I feel one way about this or the other? It felt kind of awkward to try and parse it down. I just want to see where this is heading in terms of like where the character dynamics are going, especially because this is a miniseries. So hopefully things keep moving in terms of momentum, not only in terms of the plot, but also how these dynamics are kind of bouncing forth between the characters. I want to see that also have closure and come to fruition of some sort. Other than that, it was fine. I had a decent time. It wasn't bad. Fingers crossed that the rest of the issues tell a complete story. It seems like Immortal Hulk's finale is either being delayed due to Gamma Flight to let that finish up so they both complete at the same time, or it's just a lucky coincidence because it seems like Immortal Hulk number 50 is going to be maybe an October release. Let's see what happens. And after that, I guess I read Way of X number 3. And I just want to say that I enjoyed the first two issues. I thought they were fine. I thought that there were some awkward bits that didn't really capture, like, I think, Spurrier's strengths. But they had enough of, like, the potential and had enough highlights that I thought were emblematic of where this series could go. That was starting on a great foundation. And this issue has apparently soured that entire thing. Now, overall, on there's a pure, simple, if this was just some random comic I read basis, I thought this was alrightish. Like, it feels disjointed. It feels like a tie-in that doesn't really matter. It feels way out of place. Characters just feel like they're wafted in and out. It doesn't have like much substantial structure to it. I think the fact that it has like the main character like drunk for half the issue and hungover for half the issue is a misfire, but there's nothing else I can really do about that. And now on the other hand, like as an X-Men comic that has to do with these characters, has to deal with this world, has to do with status quo, it is honestly like the most off-puttingly like distasteful thing I've read in a while. Like, if something like X-Force, you have Beast, and Beast is meant to be like a terrible, horrible human being and who's leading things to destruction and mayhem and chaos because he's a narcissistic piece of shit. And you can get that, that's fine. Like, he's creating plant zombies and destroying people's lives. Fine, that's Beast. That's what he's doing, and it seems like there's going to be a comeuppance for that. But in Way of X, we have like Legion, like basically like coercing like a horrible situation, like sexually and intimately, between two lesbian lovers, and it's just like distasteful is the best, like, most inoffensive way I can put it. Like, it's honestly bordering on disgusting. And the way I can think of it, if because I like Spurrier, I really do, and I don't think that he's like this horrible human being. I mean, maybe something will come out, and that would be awful, and I would track this statement right there when that happens, if that happens. But I think that he was writing this in terms of a Hellblazer set piece, because what happens is that Legion manipulates these two lesbian lovers, these girlfriends who are like these fan favorites, who are these cult favorites, whose pairing and matchup has been like this kind of source of comfort for a lot of people. The people have been wanting to see this happen, and just kind of baits them into like a mental psychokinetic turmoil, and it just kind of ruins them mentally for each other, and it's awful. And that's the kind of thing, and this is all in service of him getting like the upper hand, or at least an advantage against a villain, like another kind of mental psychokinetic villain. Onslaught. And this is something that I can understand being like a Constantine plan, like Hellblazer plan. Like this is something that John would do. John does this kind of thing all the time. He does these awful off color, disgusting, terrible, horrific things because like that's the kind of person he is. That's the kind of magic he uses. That's the kind of world that Hellblazer inhabits. And like I said, I think that Spurrier has written one of the best, most iconic modern runs of Hellblazer in like recent memory. But that's not the kind of thing you can do in an X-Men comics. It's not the kind of thing you can do with these characters. I mean, maybe if this was like a more disconnected series where we're not really getting the characters that people already have become attached to, and it's like an and it's just more of a disconnected, more tethered away series, you could try something like that. But as it is, we're dealing with Legion, we're dealing with David Haller, who is an iconic mainstay character, you're doing cult favorites, you're doing with fan favorites, you're doing with mainstays that have been here for like decades already as well. And it's a lot of just janky, at the very least, incredibly, insanely misguided, misleading, and janky shit. And I can totally understand why people have come out as outright hating this issue, hating what Spurrier has done, hating this series so far as well because of what it's led up to. And I totally understand that, you know. So I don't know where the next couple issues could take this. I don't know if it can even begin to actually address this. It doesn't seem like it's something that's going to address as a thing, you know? It feels like it's a toss-away set piece. And that's the worst part, because you're doing these two characters and you're not actually really going to capitalize it. Because even in Hellblazer, John would have to deal with these characters, have to deal with the consequences of this shit. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing that. I'd be wrong. Maybe this is going to lead to like a stronger character set piece, but you know, I really hope that it is, but it doesn't seem like it. Overall, one thumb down, one thumb slightly askew down. Because I can't in good faith just give it like a blindly good score. It wouldn't be right. Anyway, let's move on to what I watched this week. We have Loki, episode 3, Lamentus. And it was a good episode. I liked it. It's a good ball episode. If this was a regular show, I would be ecstatic over this episode because it's a nice one. It's a bottle episode, one set, one situation, one location, and you have Loki and Lady Loki or Sylvie or Enchantress, whatever you want to call her, kind of just sitting down, having a dialogue, and just getting to know each other. It's one dynamic being exchanged. It's good. It's a fine episode. I really enjoyed it. But then I remembered this is 6 episodes long, and this is already 50% over, so what the fuck are we even doing here? Get the fuck on with the plot? Like, I'm sorry, am I insane? There's only 3 episodes left. And the show is like had no foundation. You have exposition up the fucking ass for episode 1. We have like one set piece stretched out to an hour for episode 2, and then we have this like a filler episode, a ball episode. And I hate to call it a filler episode, but it just comes to mind because it does feel like that because we're only 3 episodes left. So I don't know what you can do with the plot unless you have no plot. And if this doesn't have any plot, this is like another WandaVision. I'm going insane. But overall, yes, solid episode as an episode. It's like an 18 episode season, 10 episode season, whatever. It fit in right. It would fit in fine. But as the midpoint, it's a whole lot of boring bullshit. I'm sorry. That's the scale I'm giving this. Overall, 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down, and let's see where the second half of the series takes us. Anyway, that's it for this week. I want to give a shout out to cover artists for the show at DOTEMCE. Please check them out. They're amazing. And I just want to say thanks so much for listening. It means so much to me, and I'm so grateful for that. So, hope you have a great one. Hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, and see you again next time.